Hey guys, what up? It's Recon 1440p here, and today I have a gearing video for DFO. This video is formatted to show you the order of the content that you're supposed to be running, and it isn't a very in-depth guide of how to run each piece of content. If you guys want, I can do individual guides on pieces of content, but for now, this is just kind of like a what do I do now, and what do I do next? And the reason why you're seeing Destiny gameplay right now is because I tried to find some gameplay for Mountain of Exiles and Black Purgatory, but there were literally no parties up because it's Friday, everyone's running Sirocco, and honestly I didn't want to wait to get more gameplay, so you're just going to go ahead and see me killing people in PvP. Alright guys, I want to talk about a few things before I start this video, so listen up. If you played in a previous cap, your gear does not matter unless you're a 95 cap Pregrad. If you are a 95 cap Pregrad, then you can upgrade your equipment to level 100 epics. Pay to win is very, very prevalent in this game. You cannot go anywhere without pay to win later on. You're not going to experience it too much early on because it's not really required, but as you go to end game, you're going to need the pay to win equipment, which is titles, pets, auras, and avatars. You can get these for gold on the auction house, but you will be farming a while to get that stuff. Otherwise, you're going to need to buy packages. Now, I'm going to be talking a lot about epic armor sets, and you need to know how they work. They work by set effects, and generally there's like a 2, 3, or 5 piece set effect, and the typical end game equipment is going to revolve around you getting a 533, which is a 5-piece armor set, a 3-piece sub equip, and 3-piece accessory, or a mix set effects that's referred to 3332, and that's pretty much just a whole mix, and I'll just show you a picture of what that looks like. The final thing I want to talk about is how expensive it is to reinforcing your weapon. It's 200 mil plus just to get a plus 12, and honestly this game really isn't worth playing unless you wait for an event that gears you heavily, because those events will save you not only hundreds of mils but hours of playtime, like dozens of hours. So personally I would just wait for an event that gears a new character, but if you can't wait, then I mean I guess that's what the rest of this video or the beginning part of this video is for. Anyway, enjoy. Alright, once you're level 96, you can start farming for level 100 uniques, and it takes about an FP bar and a half in order to get full uniques. Honestly, it's really not all that powerful, and I would just wait for an event that gives you full 100 legendaries. But, you know, this is here. Alright, once you're level 98, you'll be able to farm for level 100 legendaries in Roast Chest. These are called 5-5 dungeons by the community, and it consists of the dungeons Bottomless Tunnel and Land of Memories. You can clear each one 5 times, and that's 10 dungeons in total, which gives you mats in order to buy legendaries. You can also get these by random drops, but that's random. It takes about 2 weeks in total, and honestly, you're probably not going to need to grind this dungeon because they give out legendaries so often, but it's here if you need it. Alright guys, so I'm just going to make this really quick. At this point in time, you're going to want to start enchanting your gear, or if your gear already has enchants from like a temporary event, then don't worry about it. But DPS want to do whatever they can to increase their DPS, and that includes synergies as well. Satyrs are going to want to increase their main stat so that their buffs are higher. And as for pay-to-win gear, you can start looking into getting pay-to-win gear at this point. It will help you run the dungeons that I'm going to talk about pretty soon, but it's not necessarily needed 100% at this point in time. Now this isn't a full enchantment video, so I'm not going to go over what enchants to get. You can probably find one of those online, but just know that this is when you start enchanting. At this point in time, you can actually start grinding for level 100 epics. The dungeon is called Black Shrine and Basement of Pain, commonly dubbed as 2-2s by the communities, or 2+2s. In order to run this dungeon, you're going to want about 10-12 bill, usually full legendaries with enchants, and like a piece or two of pay-to-win gear is enough to run these. And once you run these, you'll get a chance at any point during the boss or the card flip to get an epic. The other way, and the main way of getting 100 epics, is by running Guide of Wisdoms using Times Guide Stones. So Times Guide Stones are the entry material. You require about 18 unless there's like an event or something, and you just run it, and there's no reward limit. You can just run it until your FP bar runs out. In order to get more of these Times Guide Stones, the main way to do it is by running raids. These will give you Undaunted Determinations, and you can get up to 40 a week. You can get up to 40 Epic Souls a week, I should say. And that should be enough for you to start running Guidoisms pretty much every day on one character. Alright guys, this is post-edit recon here. When I was editing this footage, I forgot to mention Stormy Route, which is another dungeon you can run. It can give you Iolites and Times Guidestones and a whole bunch of gold. This is kind of like the in-between dungeon. At this point in time, you should probably be farming this with the rest of your FP. This is also how you get a whole bunch of Times Guidestones. And then the final way of getting level 100 epics is Black Purgatory normals. These, I'm going to say you need about 60-70 bill to run. Otherwise, it's not really worth it. But they are a little more, like, you're going to need epics to run these, but they're in addition to your 2-2s. And I just thought I'd mention them because they will also help you gear later on when you do Black Purgatory, the actual dungeon, the weekly dungeon. So while you're farming your level 100 epics, you're going to want to farm Oculus as well. Oculus is a dungeon which you can run 2 times a week, and it gives you your Ditto epic, which is just an epic that can transform into any level 100 epic that isn't your weapon. Now, the Ditto epic can be gotten after 6 weeks, and Oculus, its requirement's about 40-50 bill, but honestly it's mostly just looking the part or buying runs. It's really up to you. You can change that Ditto epic into anything you want after the initial pull. So you'll get like a little chest, and then you can just change it to anything you want. And you can keep doing that for just a small amount of materials. It's a small cost. Now, the other thing you're going to want to be running is Pandemonium War. Now, P-War is kind of hard because there's no one really running it. If you can find a party for it, great. The requirements for hard mode's like 20 bill. It's really not that bad, but most people are skipping nowadays, so you're probably going to want like pretty full on epics. You're going to want to be pretty full on epics. Otherwise, there are usually events that come out which give you talismans, so I would look out for those, especially new player gearing events. Those are really nice. Those will definitely jumpstart your character. Aside from that, how it works is you get a whole bunch of talismans. You can combine them for a chance at your own talisman, and you're aiming for unique ones. You can also get runes, and it's the same concept, except runes can do different effects. They just have different colors. Generally, you want to go for full damage. Cooldown reduction is not bad, and range is pretty garbage. Alright guys, once you are grad in epics, which means you have a 5-piece, 3-piece, 3-piece set effect, or a 3-3, 3-2 set effect, then you can start doing Sirocco. Now, I'm just going to go over the requirements first of all, because the requirements are pretty high because it's the latest raid. You need a title pet aura, which means you need full pay-to-win equipment. There's a fat chance you're going to get in if you don't have all 3. Maybe if you're missing an aura, or if you have like a BIS title and not have a pet, or does not have a good one, you might be able to get in, but you're going to want all 3. You also need basic enchants and around 130 bill DPS, assuming you're a 3A character. Now, how Sirocco works is you get random drops, and those random drops can be infused into your current gear, which means they're combined. You can also buy a random piece for 182 petals, but it's random, and you pretty much just keep doing that until you can get a 2-piece. And then finally, you can get a Ditto for 437 petals. But I'm going to be honest, none of that fucking matters, because in like a month or 2, they're going to change it so Sirocco pieces are much cheaper, and Ditto is much cheaper. Like, I'm talking about like half price, by the way. So at this point in time, just stock up petals. Don't worry about gradding Sirocco. If you do it naturally by random drops, fuck yeah. But otherwise, it's not worth it, man. It's just not worth it. Oh yeah, in terms of the actual gear, Roxy is really good for burst, Assassin's really good for sustain, Gatekeeper is pretty much BIS, but it's very hard to use, and Nyx and Rotos are pretty much memes. Alright, and the last thing I want to talk about is Mountain of Exiles. I'm going to keep this real quick because it's super simple. You have upgraded talismans based off of the unique ones you got from P-War, and they can either be random drops, or you can actually upgrade them. Like, you can just use the materials and upgrade them yourself. So it's pretty much just time gated. There's also 2 new talismans, and you can buy one of them. So generally what people do is wait for a drop for one of them, and then choose the one that they don't already have. Aside from that, you just upgrade your talismans, you upgrade your runes. That's pretty much it. It's Mountain of Exiles is super simple. Alright guys, and the last bit of content, this is the latest piece of content, is Black Purgatory. And Black Purgatory, if you guys remember me talking about Black Purgatory in normals, it's pretty much the next step. It all gives you the same thing, which are materials in order to reroll some stats on your equipment, mainly the 3 pieces that you also infuse with Sirocco. So people call this Oculus 2.0 because it pretty much has the same clears. It's 2 a week, it's locked every week, and it is actually pretty difficult. So how it works is you can choose the difficulty by going and killing the knights that are up top in the dungeon, and the higher difficulty, the more rewards you get. But keep in mind, it's very, very hard, so most people just opt to do difficulty 2 or level 2 and just pretty much keep it at that. Level 3 is not that much better, and level 4 is a bit better, but it's very hard to clear. Now, in terms of what it gives you is, it gives you these materials to reroll stats. You'll see target option on your equipment, and your goal is to get as much equalized stats as possible. So if you have really high of one stat, then you want to try to put that number into something else. So let's say you get 23% strength, but you already have like 100% strength, and you have like 50% PMI. You want to try putting it into PMI. So it's stat equalization. It's pretty much diminishing returns from higher numbers. And the requirements for Black Purgatory are pretty simple. They're pretty much the same thing as Sirocco raid to do level 1, and they pretty much go up from there. But just to do level 1, you need probably around 140 bill. Now for honorable mentions, I'm not going to go in depth with these, but they're pieces of content that you can do, but I don't think that are that useful. There is Oculus Hard, which gives you a chance at getting your weapon after 20 days. So after 20 days, you get enough mats and you can buy a weapon for your class. It might not be the weapon you want, but it can help gear an alt. Then you have Sirocco Challenge, which gives you countbound mats, although it's very few, and maybe some Product of Wisdoms, which can help you gear by giving you a lot of money. But overall, it's really difficult to do this. You're talking Sirocco grad and probably Black Purgatory grad if you want to run it easily. But it's still there. It's not useless, but it's not that great. Then you have Night of Revelation, which gives you free enchants, which is really nice for new players who don't want to spend the money, but honestly, enchants are pretty cheap anyway. Now for the pieces of content that literally aren't worth running, you have Dark Dimension. It takes way too long to grind out upgraded legendaries, and by the time you get the upgrade, you might as well have done Guide of Wisdom for that FP. The weekend rewards are okay for the cards, but that's it. And then you have Eterno. Alright guys, that should cover up all of the content in the 100 cap. I hope this video really helped you out, and I just wanted to give some final conclusions and just some final thoughts I have on 100 cap so far. So for context, I started playing at the start of 100 cap about a month in, and I actually had a lot of fun gearing. I think the game was at a really good point at that time. Oculus was super fun. I loved gearing characters through epics. I loved starting out the game, and it was quite good. But I think the game really took a bad turn when Sirocco came out, because you started to see the faults in 100 cap. The two big ones being the RNG gated progression through mythics and Sirocco pieces, because mythics, you might just not get a mythic on a character forever. You might just honestly never get one. It took me a year to get a mythic on my Ghostblade. That's ridiculous for a piece of equipment. And then for Sirocco, there's no guarantee way to grad. I mean, my Elven Knight's been running Sirocco for 6 months, or was running. I don't really run it anymore, and I still don't have a 2-piece, and I can't run a Ditto. I've just been getting immaterial essences, so I hate that about this cap. I don't like the RNG at all. Honestly, this cap, I would not play it unless there's like an event to boost up your character. It's not worth it. I would just wait for an event. Usually they happen in the seasons, like summer there's usually an event, usually there's one in winter. Sometimes you might get like a smaller one in between, but you want to wait for something that's going to give you a plus 12 or just jumpstart your character pretty fast, or something that's going to help you gear up faster, like an epic road event. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I don't actually know how many videos I'm going to come out with. I really don't like DFO as much as I did before, and it's definitely not burnout. I just don't like the way that this 100 cap has turned into. I think Black Purgatory was really nice, but Sirocco still left a really bad taste in my mouth. Anyway, I'll see what I'll do. That's it. Goodbye.